Somalia's capital is in lockdown as residents head to the polls for the first time in nearly 60 years. The Mogadishu municipal elections are being seen as a test run for national polls that are due to take place next year. Representatives have been chosen through a clan-based system that's been in place for decades.
It's the hottest ticket in town. Mogadishu residents flashing their voting cards as they head to the polls for the first direct elections in decades.
In the past, clan elders and delegates would be bribed for votes, but now you're free to vote for who you want.
Somalia's direct voting system was abolished in 1969 by an authoritarian government that ruled for more than 2 decades. After 1991, clan representatives elected lawmakers who then chose the president. That indirect voting system was designed to promote consensus among rival clans in the face of a bloody and ongoing Islamist insurgency. Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militants who want to overthrow the government have made rapid gains this year, taking dozens of towns and villages. With the security situation deteriorating, Mogadishu is on lockdown for election day. Thousands of security personnel are patrolling the streets. Movement has been restricted and the international airport closed. But that hasn't deterred eager voters who form long queues outside polling stations.
I was born in Mogadishu, never left this city. I've seen so much destruction. But today, we can vote for who we want, which is why I'm happy.
I'm among the youth who've been yearning to have their voices heard, and I'm very happy for this chance.
I hope today's opportunity to vote will become even better for our children and future generations.
The direct voting system has been championed by President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, but does not have unanimous support. Opponents argue it's a bid to centralise power in Mogadishu, while some parties in the capital have boycotted the election.
And for more on the local elections in Somalia, we can speak to Matt Bryden, a strategic advisor with Sahan Research, a think tank focused on promoting peace, security, and development. Welcome. Thank you for speaking with us. How important is this election in Mogadishu for Somalia?
I'm afraid that it's actually a sort of sideshow to the bigger problem, which is the unification of Somalia as a state and a concerted effort to fight Al-Shabaab, which has taken over a much larger part of the country than it had 2 years ago. It's very impressive, and it induces optimism in the sense that a one vote would take the country forward in terms of democracy. But there is no political consensus behind this selection, and that means that it is in danger of driving divisions deeper rather than overcoming them, and that it's not being seen as credible by the opposition in the rest of the country.
And then you have a national election expected in 2026. You mentioned this with Al-Shabaab, the armed group. They have control over large areas of the countryside. So what are your thoughts about the implementation of the general election next year, given that you've just called this tryout a bit of a sideshow?
Well, I think it's very clear to any independent observers there will not be a general election in Somalia anytime in 2026. The federal government of Somalia controls at best, and I'm being generous, maybe 15% of the national territory. One part of the country, Somaliland, has declared independence. 2 other regions, Jubaland and Puntland, which control approximately 50% of the national territory, do not recognize the federal government's authority and will not conduct the federal elections. And of the half of the country that's remaining, at best, Al-Shabaab probably controls more than 50%. So the notion of a one-person, one-vote election is remote. And it's being widely seen as a kind of cynical ploy of the incumbent president to extend his term in power. Moreover, since the election won't take place by May 2026, logistically, financially, it's impossible. What most observers expect is that the government will try to declare some kind of postponement of the election, which gives the president the extension that he's looking for.
I want to pursue and talk a little bit more about what you just said about this benefiting the current president, Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's re-election prospects. What's your take on that? Is this just really trying to buttress his control?
Well, I believe that that is the most credible interpretation. President Mohammed Sheikh Mohamud took power for his second term with most of the country behind him. In fact, he had all of the federal member states and the parliament backing him. Since he took power, the northern province of Puntland has withdrawn from the federation, and the southern province of Jubaland has also withdrawn. So the idea that you could have some kind of unified election is a problem. The reason that these states have withdrawn is that the federal government proceeded with unilateral constitutional amendments that they didn't agree with, and many other groups don't agree with, and that did not comply with the constitutional amendment process. So there's a feeling that the federal government has changed the constitution, has introduced electoral laws that are the basis for this election, and is driving ahead with an agenda that only the president supports, and that most of the government is opposed to. And so that risks deepening the divisions in a country recovering from civil war and fighting with an al-Shabaab insurgency, and not uniting the country to try to bring it together and build the federal sort of governance that the Constitution requires it to develop.
Matt Bryden, a strategic advisor with Sahan Research, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.